The Pentecost spirit has been exploding in Palestine, moving into Turkey, crossing into Greece, reaching different people in different ways, driving them in new directions, filling them with a passion for Jesus and the gospel, and for doing right by God. And the passion has created some chaos, some conflict. This passion has moved well-intentioned people to fight and devour each other. People who were certain they were right, and their neighbor just needed a little correction. The most disruptive, but well-intentioned tyranny of human beings upon one another. How do we recognize when the Spirit is truly driving us in the right direction, or somehow if we misappropriated and misdirected it? Paul seems to be writing a great deal about it in his letter to the Galatians. And I think he's trying to help us recognize the Spirit, or at least learn how to ask the right questions when he boils it down to these few verses in chapter 5. I'll be reading the words in yellow and invite you to read aloud those in white print. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, forbearance, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Against such there is no law.
Those who belong to Christ Jesus have crucified the flesh with its passions and desires. Since we live by the Spirit, let us keep in step with the Spirit.
It was 1999. The only startling thing about it is that it's been 20 years ago now. And I was among the chaperones of the youth group we had taken to the Disciple General Assembly in Cincinnati, Ohio that year. And they were staying for the weekend, I was staying for all 5 days, and I was in charge of lunch on Saturday. So we took a little walk, to 2.5-3 blocks down to the nearby Subway restaurant. Got everybody their sandwich and their chips and their drink, got them all situated along with the other chaperones, keep them quiet, keep them in their place, so I could get in line finally and get my food. Ordered the sandwich and the chips and the drink. I was keeping the receipts. It was a business trip. We wanted to be well documented and be able to turn everything in. So this cashier, who wasn't used to giving out receipts, didn't give me one. I asked politely, could I have a receipt for that? $5 and something. Guy behind me, somewhere in his 20s, a little scruffy, muttered something. Oh my God, it's only $5. What do you want a receipt for? I paid for the food, took the food, took my receipt, thank you very much, turned around and said, you might want to consider minding your own business. Turns out he wasn't in a good mood either that day, and said something back. not sure what it was. But somehow I knew in that moment that if I said what I wanted to say, it was going to end up with the police involved. Now, mind you, I've only been in 2 physical fights my entire life. Both of them when I was a teenager, and being a teenager was explanation enough. This was the most confrontational I'd ever been face to face with a stranger. And something in my head said, shut up, and walk away. Probably not a good thing to get arrested when you're chaperoning a youth group at a general assembly. Probably not a good thing even if I learned. The most face-to-face confrontation I've ever been. Maybe I've been controversial when speaking, but controversy is always in the ears of the hearer. I'm never controversial. It's just, you don't like what I say, that's your problem. I walked away. Aristotle has said the way you define a virtue is determined by what he called the doctrine of the mean. The virtue lies somewhere between 2 extremes. It's never an extreme in itself. Courage lies somewhere between cowardice and recklessness. It's not necessarily good to cower and be abused and do nothing. It's not necessarily good to just march off into every battle you can find, whether you're prepared or backed up or anything. Courage is somewhere in between the 2 extremes. Maybe the most courageous thing I did that day was to shut up. Maybe some of us need to be a little more courageous than that and shut up. Sometimes what we need to do is be a little more courageous and speak up. But knowing where the virtue lies has never been as simple as we would like. To know that we're doing the right thing with the right attitude in the right moment has never been as simple as we would like. To choose to be courageous. I tell myself, he was rude to speak about my business. I tell myself I wasn't rude to try and put him back in his place. But I don't know. When I talk to a lot of people, teenagers and people in their 20s, who have a habit of speaking a little too much. They have what we would say a mouth on them. My concern when I speak to them in counseling, conferencing, is I say, hey, it's fine, have any attitude you want to have with me. What do I care? But one day you're going to say the wrong thing to the wrong person in the wrong moment. So it would be good for you to start thinking about what you say before you say it. There's a virtue in it. It keeps you out of the hospital. It keeps you out of jail. Because you really don't prove anything by mouthing off to someone who then beats the crap out of you. And that's a serious concern with a lot of the people I counsel, people at board meetings and stuff. Virtue lies somewhere in between the extremes. So when Paul tries to explain to us, well, here are the virtues that define the spirit of Pentecost. This is the spirit that is moving upon the world, hoping to change it, hoping to bring it into a more godly reality. love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness. It's not as simple, I think, as he would like. What is love? How do you know what love is? 90% of the love songs we hear on the radio are not about love. They're about sex, or they're about obsessive, compulsive behavior. People who would, I'd do anything for you, is not love. It's addiction. What is love? How do you know when what you're doing is loving? Was I being loving when I suggested to that young man that he should mind his own business? How am I supposed to know that? Joy. You know, I've known people who have experienced what they would consider in their own lives true joy through some of the worst decisions they've ever made. I felt alive. I felt wonderful. I never felt that good. I never felt that powerful. I never felt that wonderful. They consider that joy. It's not that simple. Peace. I've known people, maybe you've known people, they had peace in their home because everyone in their home was scared to death to speak a word. Never challenge, never question. Don't look cross-eyed. The monster in charge got his peace. Was that the Spirit of God? Was that the way life was supposed to be? Patience, forbearance. Sometimes we're too patient. Sometimes we sit and watch too much abuse. Sometimes we sit quietly while too much goes on around us. Sometimes we're incredibly impatient. How do we know where the virtue is that helps us define, yes, this is the Spirit of God, this is the God way. It's not as easy as we wish it were. It's not something that we can just do on our own, because we need perspective, we need guidance, we need wisdom, we need the experience of others to help us think it through. Especially, I think, today, in a culture where so many of us hear that voice of self-importance. Our culture has made us each so incredibly self-important. And maybe you've escaped it, maybe you kept it down, maybe you walked away from it, but so many of us slightly, subtly seduced. So that a disappointment in our lives becomes a crisis. Oh my goodness, I didn't get what I want. This is awful. I have to tell everybody. On Facebook. Crisis time. Oh my goodness. And it blows up within us. Disappointments become crisis. Inconvenience become a tragedy. Oh Lord, how long must I wait while the cashier talks to that other person about their grandchildren? I just want to check out and get out of here. Don't they know their place? Your place is to get out of my way. Your place is to serve me quickly and efficiently so I can go about my life. Emotional social turmoil. And what happens when someone slows us down? We mutter at them at the subway. Oh my goodness, you got to have a receipt for $5. Yeah, I do. Minding our own business really does become the task of our lives. What is our business? To propagate the Spirit, to understand what it is, to ask ourselves the right questions so that the choices we make reflect the right attitudes. The love, the joy, the peace, the patience, the kindness, the gentleness, goodness, self-control. I think if you're trying to figure out which one is the easiest way to determine whether or not what I'm about to do reflects the Spirit of God, I'd start with kindness. It's usually not too terribly difficult to figure out if what I'm about to say is kind. If what I'm about to do is kind. It's not as easy as I wish it were, but it's not as confusing as love and joy and peace. Because just being Spirit-filled doesn't help anybody if it's the wrong spirit. Just being virtuous doesn't help anybody if it's all about me being virtuous. There's this long-standing Christian concept that the goal of my life is to be perfect, to be pure, to be wholly virtuous, that it's all about me becoming so pure that somehow I'm worthy of the kingdom of God. But the problem with that is that it very quickly turns into I'm pure enough and you're not. Purifying myself quickly turns into trying to purify you. And humanity has been the most inhumane when they try to purify other people. It's not easy, this spirit thing. It's really no wonder why some people prefer just give it to me 1, 2, 3, ABC. Tell me not to do this, not to do that, not to do this, not to say that, not to think this, not to believe that. Just give it to me ABC, because this spirit thing is hard work. You're expecting me to stop and think, to make choices, to take personal responsibility, to know what is loving and joyful and peaceful and patient and kind. And yet Paul had a clue about what he was talking about. That Paul's grasp of the gospel, that Paul's experience of the Christ Spirit was even close. That is what it takes for you, for me, to mind our own business. To examine our own thoughts, motivations, to think before we act, and ask ourselves, is this the fruit of the Spirit? I think we know when we receive it from others. Let us pray. And so continue, O God, to teach us, to help us ask questions, to help us discover answers, to give us the courage to talk with one another, to discover what is truly faithful, to give us the courage not to do this alone. In Jesus' name.